This is my production piece for my major project. For my major project, I created branding and marketing for a fictitious arts festival of my choice. I chose to base my work on the films festival called Mini Movie Marathon. I wanted my brand to convey that this festival is a celebration of unconventional and experimental filmmaking. Therefore, I decided to maintain the brief's original style of collage or photomontage, as well as adding the punk style to support the brand's aim. Creating a design system helped with being consistent across all of the platforms, though I planned on it being less detailed, as following the punk style would be to reject rules and conformity. Instead, I aimed to achieve a balance of successfully keeping the ethos of punk while also maintaining the consistent design across all platforms in order to inspire trust and professionalism with the audience. Both the text and the colours are also a slight reference to my main punk inspiration, the band the Sex Pistols, as their design is one of the most well known. To further connect the brand to film, I chose the colour scheme to use as a reference to the colour process used in film in the early 20th century after the RGB process was considered obsolete. I first developed this typography very early on when I was thinking about my logo and how I wanted to present my brand. I ended up not liking the way the logo turned out with this style, however, I wanted to continue this ransom note typography, therefore I developed it in order to use for menus or headers or anything that I really needed around my assets. For my website, I wanted to keep the design as punk or collage inspired as I could without sacrificing the navigation of the website or the readability of it. To achieve this balance, I made sure that the information was clear and as accessible as I could while having the decoration elements really only being in the background of the pages. During the early developmental stages of the website, I was playing around with the idea of having what I would call an outdated layout for the website as a nod to punk or a reference to punk due to its nonconformity and rule breaking. I quickly dismissed this idea as I prioritized the navigational elements over the need to rule break. I believe that there would have been a navigational issue if I strayed from the modern website layout that has overtaken the internet today. Therefore, by using a layout that is familiar to the audience, I will be reducing the possibility of a navigation issue across this platform. I also decided to tone down the amount of collage that I could put on these pages, as I didn't really want to overwhelm the audience. I think that for my website, I did prioritize the flow of information more than I did the decoration, and that the collage aspect was well balanced with the information that I had and needed to provide. Especially for this asset for the website, I didn't want too much going on. I wanted the audience to be able to see and take in the information that I have on there. It has to be an accessible asset in order to see these things, and with the amount of information that I had on there, I had to prioritize that instead of the collaged aspect. For my poster assets and for my ticket assets as well, I think I was a bit more experimental and a bit more free with the use of collage and also the use of the punk styling. For both of these assets, for the posters and the tickets, I know that there was a limited amount of information that I could put on them. Obviously, a poster design is there to attract the audience, and therefore it needed to be lively and interesting in order to make someone at least stop and stare at it. Therefore, I did prioritize the collage aspect of my posters more than I did my information, due to my information only being really what the festival is about, the date and the place. It's the same for the tickets. The ticket design, I wanted something that was interesting and maybe that the audience would want to keep as a sort of memory of that event. My brochure was probably one of the last assets that I created, and I think that as time went on, I got more comfortable with designing in this way and presenting information in this way too. I ended up deciding on a trifold brochure mainly for ease of access, and when passing to the audience or the potential event goers, it is something that they can just put in their pocket and they are more likely to keep it rather than a A4 leaflet or an A5 brochure booklet. My social media ad is about 10 to 15 seconds long and really only contains like the same amount of information really as the poster. I wanted it to be interesting enough to maybe get engagement, and that call to action would have been, if you clicked on the ad, you would be sent to the website in order to see what more the event has to offer in more detail.